In the modern world, where technology has been developing rapidly, advancements in artificial intelligence have revolutionized various industries, and the military sector is no exception. A stealth military aircraft powered by artificial intelligence called the UCAV has been developed. This cutting-edge aerial machine offers the potential to reshape the nature of warfare, providing enhanced stealth capabilities, superior tactical decision-making, and an unparalleled advantage on the battlefield. 3 U.S. Navy pilots were chosen to pilot this new stealth fighter-bomber generation. However, when this artificial intelligence-powered stealth aircraft suddenly went haywire, threatening to wipe out humanity, the pilots found themselves in a dire situation of bringing it under control again. An elite U.S. Naval Air Force squadron, composed of Lieutenant Ben Gannon, Lieutenant Kara Wade, and Lieutenant Henry Purcell, pilots 3 advanced, experimental stealth fighter jets designed to target terrorists anywhere they are in the world. On returning from launching an attack on a terrorist group, their captain commander, Cummings George, informs them of a new addition to the group. The team is against the new addition, talking about them being 3, a prime number, and a lucky number. But the captain didn't listen to their complaints and dismissed them. They spend the rest of the day at a club, guessing who the new addition can be, and they never for once mention that it can be a machine. The next day, the team and their captain move to the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier in the Philippines, and on that night, their new wingman arrives, an AI-powered military aircraft, UCAV, named Edie. While the carrier owner, Captain Marshfield, and Ben are hesitant about pushing digital warfare, Captain George is adamant about it. Ben didn't support the idea of the AI aircraft due to his anti-authority nature. And now, he feels threatened by the new addition to the team. That night, George assigns the 3 pilots the duty of training Edie and gives them his data files to familiarize them with him. The next morning, the 3 pilots take off, and Edie is deployed for a test flight under the exciting eyes of several military men. They all roar with excitement at the successful takeoff. Edie gets into formation with the rest of his team, and they start teaching him some acrobatic moves while he impresses them, except Ben, by showing off his fancy moves. In the middle of the training, the team receives an order from Captain George, redirecting them to a real emergency mission in Rangoon. The mission is for them to destroy the building where the heads of some terrorist groups meet. The building is a skyscraper that is still under construction. Ben asked the captain what to do with Edie, and he said he would observe their attack. On assessing the building, computer simulations show that if it falls over, it will kill many people on the ground. However, if the building is struck from directly above, it may fall into its footprint. Alas, the rocket bombs carried by the planes cannot achieve the necessary penetration velocity. The team reports their findings to Captain George, who tells them they should provide an alternative. Using biometric eye scans and fingerprint/voice analyses, Edie identifies the terrorists from the air and suggests diving dead vertically with implosion bombs to avert collateral damage. George orders Edie to do the deed, but, not trying to be outdone, Ben takes it over. The mission is a smashing success. As they return to the carrier, lightning strikes and hits Edie, reconfiguring his neural network. Edie begins to malfunction, and they end up using a safety net to enable his safe landing on the carrier. As part of the malfunction, he downloaded all the music from the web. The engineer on the carrier begins to repair it. The scene cuts to show Ben visiting Captain George in his office. Ben tries to let the captain see the danger behind making a machine into a warfighter, claiming they lack feelings and instincts, unlike humans. But George doesn't agree with him and believes the revolutionary way of fighting is better and safer than sending humans into war to meet their end. Meanwhile, Ben continues by expressing his fear about the machine, suggesting that it still needs more trial before it can be used in real combat again. George agrees with him but tells him that he needs Edie to successfully perform a mission. Being involved in a mission that destroyed a skyscraper in Burma, the 3 pilots may be on a worldwide most wanted list, so George immediately sends them to Nrandran, Thailand. This vacation allows Ben to photograph Kara in a bikini under a waterfall while Henry picks up a Thai girl. The vacation ends abruptly as they are called for another mission, to combat a warlord having nuclear bombs in his possession, which spells a nuclear crisis. Captain George sends the not fully repaired Edie along with them, though Ben protests, trying to let the captain see the danger in deploying it in that condition. But when the captain threatens to have him demoted, he agrees to fly with Edie. At the mission's venue, the team finds out that natives are present in the building, and deploying the missiles will create radioactive dust, which will be dangerous to them. Also, the nuclear debris from the attack will reach their ally Pakistan by the next day. Ben exercises his attack abort authority as the field commander to avert unacceptable deaths. But unfortunately for them, Edie refuses to heed the order. Being an indiscriminate learner, an attribute that was made active by the lightning strike, Edie mimics Ben's defiance at Rangoon, and he opens fire in the vicinity. Also, Edie heads to the Russia no-fly zone to select more targets, closing his data in the process and making it unable for the 3 pilots and the officers back at the base to track it. Captain George immediately orders the team to find his plane and return it in one piece. He also calls Keith Orbit, the EID builder, and tells him about the situation on the ground, asking him to find a solution. Captain Marshfield also informs George he is receiving messages from Tajikistan and Russia about the presence of aircraft from his carrier in their territory. George assures him that they will get the plane under control very soon. Out of the 3, Henry is the first to catch sight of Edie, and he starts to give it a chase, trying to talk him down from venturing further. But Edie refuses and continues in his mission. The 2 others join Henry in pursuing Edie, and after engaging in a hot chase for some minutes, Ben alerts Captain George that they are going to bomb the Edie down. Not hearing any response from him, Ben gives his teammates the order to bomb Edie. Being the closest to it, Henry got into the act and deployed a missile at him. Kara tries to warn Henry to reduce the closeness before sending the missile, but he doesn't heed the warning, and he ends up crashing into a nearby mountain from the effect of the bomb as Edie dodges it. At the death of Henry, Ben wants to call off the pursuit because his fuel is running low, and the Russians will be present at the scene any time from that moment, but Captain George orders him to find Edie and console him of the death of Henry. Just as Kara and Ben want to continue chasing Edie, Kara's aircraft starts malfunctioning. Henry's crash frags her aircraft. Just as Ben is considering aborting the mission to take Kara to safety, George informs him of the Edie location, telling him his fuel is already low. So Ben has no choice but to follow the order, and he sends Kara off by telling her to take a shortcut to the ship. Back at the base, Captain Marshfield visits the Navy base again to inform Captain George that satellites have picked up the nuclear debris flying around a mountain in Pakistan and that media houses would in no time start broadcasting it. Captain George tells him that the media house's opinions are the least of the issues he is concerned with. In that instance, Marshfield asked whether he knew the Edie was having problems before he cleared it to fly, but George claims that it's the nature of planes to malfunction every day, even if precautions are taken. Kara tries her best to reach the aircraft carrier but to no avail. On the way, the aircraft shuts down automatically, and she quickly calls the coordinate of her location to the base, which turns out to be North Korea. Before the aircraft explodes, Kara quickly ejects herself from it but still has her parachute consumed by the fire of the explosion as the debris falls out of the sky and onto it. However, she lands safely on the soil of North Korea, but she must fight for her life to reach the South Korean border, which is 12 miles away. Since the U.S. has no diplomatic relationship with North Korea, the Navy ends up leaving Kara to her fate as they didn't take any rescue mission move. On accessing the situation of Edie, Dr. Orbit discovers that Edie has broken into secure files and selected a mission called Caviar Sweep, a hypothetical strike concocted by a think tank but about to become disastrously real if Edie isn't stopped. He informs Captain George of the finding. To lessen his chances of triggering a war and being court-martialed for having cleared Edie to fly, Captain George gives codes to the Russians so they may shoot the jet down, but he still has Ben to keep silent. As Ben chases and argues with Edie, they notice they are being chased by Russian aircraft. Then, a ceasefire begins between them and the Russians. While Ben and Edie overcome the Russian attackers, the fire from them ruptures Edie's port fuel line. The jet has no option but to obey Ben's order to cancel all targets, as it is programmed to survive and not fall into enemy hands. Ben, in turn, helps the Edie suppress the fire by dropping a missile into an ocean they are hovering on. As the missile explodes in the water, the heavy current of it washes over the ruptured part of the Edie, annihilating the fire in the process. Now, with both aircrafts low on fuel, Captain George orders them to head to an unmapped security facility in Alaska, the nearest place to them, for help. When Ben asked about the support for Edie, George replied that tech support was on the way for him. Before they cease communicating, Ben asks for the status of Kara, and George tells him that she is on approach. However, both Edie and Ben notice the strain in his response, which shows that he is lying. So Ben commands Edie to track Kara's flight log, and they discover that her last stop was North Korea. Back in North Korea, the natives discover the presence of an invader in their vicinity. Soldiers are deployed to the area to fish the invader out. At the Alaskan facility, Edie lands safely, but Ben's jet crashes and burns, and he sustains an injury. The man who wants to treat him turns out to be an enemy as he tries to give him a fatal injection, but luckily, Ben dodges it, injecting the man with the injection during the scuffle. The man becomes paralyzed. The North Korean soldiers are still on the tail of Kara as she keeps running, trying all her efforts to ensure they don't catch her. She is hit by a bullet at one point, but she doesn't stop. On George's orders, Orbit arrives at the Alaska security facility to erase Edie's memory banks, but hesitates as his creation expresses actual feelings about its actions. Edie shows that he regrets all the attacks he had launched, including the death of Henry. However, one of the men in the facility had Orbit at gunpoint and ordered him to stop wasting time and get the deed done. But they are disrupted by the appearance of Ben. Fueled by rage, Ben walks out of the room where he wants to receive treatment, killing one of the men and retrieving his gun. Threatening all the other men outside with the gun in his hand, Ben orders them to drop their weapons, but one of them refuses and shoots at Ben, which he dodges. Ben then opens fire on them and ends up killing them all. With the threat neutralized, Dr. Orbit puts Edie back together again. Ben flies Edie to Korea to rescue Kara, reducing the security facility to ashes before leaving and ensuring that Dr. Orbit also leaves safely. On his way to North Korea, Ben urges Captain Marshfield to go after George. Marshfield tries to talk Ben out of going to North Korea, but Edie cuts him off by disconnecting the call. After hot combat with the North Korean soldiers, Ben successfully rescues Kara. But as they are about to leave the place, a helicopter filled with another batch of soldiers arrives. Edie helps them take care of this hindrance by crashing into the helicopter. Both Edie and the North Korean copter explode. Back at the aircraft carrier in the Philippines, the US Navy gives Henry a befitting burial, and Ben later gets the chance to profess his love to Kara, though not directly. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications to help the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.